Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home. Got another couple 4K reviews coming up. And in today's video, I'm actually going to review two titles at the same time, and I'll explain that. But I got some really cool new releases in from Warner Brothers. I just mentioned that these were hotly anticipated 4K titles for me. And I did get the Batman series. So this is the 1989, the two Tim Burton movies and the two Joel Schumacher movies. And so what I'm going to do is, instead of having four separate reviews or one review with all four, because they're very different styles, I'm going to do the two Tim Burton ones in this review, and then I'll tackle Batman and Robin and Batman Forever in a second review, as the visual styles are just very different. Now, before we get started with the review, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're about 550 subscribers away from 10K now. And when we get to 10K, it's going to be an incredible achievement. That's kind of been my goal in this first year and a half of doing YouTube. Just get to that 10K number and then build from there. So I appreciate all the support. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And without further ado, let's jump into this review. I will cover visuals, audio, packaging, special features, and also an overall review of whether I think it's worth the upgrade or not over the existing Blu-ray copy. So let's get started first with Batman. So a couple things in the visuals. All of these, all four of them, were remastered in 4K. And the nice thing is that they were shot on film, and so there's a lot to work with there. There's a lot of data in old film reels that you can transfer over to 4K and create a very, very good picture. Think of things like Alien, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm really looking forward to The Shining. The older movies are really where 4K shines, in my opinion. So Batman, the first film in this Batman series, was directed by Tim Burton. And then we have Batman Returns, also directed by Tim Burton, both starring Michael Keaton as Batman. As you know, in Batman, the original, we've got Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And then in Batman Returns, you've got Danny DeVito as the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. So some interesting big name actors in both of these. And these are definitely the two better movies out of the four that I'll be reviewing. Now, for Batman, the visuals for me were interesting. The grain structure is pretty good. There's a lot of grain, but it's pretty smooth. Not that I think they digitally smoothed it out, but I think that they just, put together a really nice transfer where you can see the grain, but it's not super obvious because they took their time and really remastered this thing. One thing that I'll show you here in the demo that I'll show you right after I talk about it is there were some issues with white levels. For whatever reason, the brightness was really, really high in some scenes with this transfer. The HDR looked good on the lower end, but it almost overpowered with any bright whites or bright yellows. Think like light bulbs, think like outdoor lights, street lights, but also like the makeup on Jack Nicholson's face, the white makeup, and also skin tones. Anybody who had a lighter skin tone, there were some real weird issues with the coloring here. So I wasn't super impressed with that, but overall, doesn't really detract from the picture in my opinion. There are some things you could do with your TV to calibrate. Now, I've calibrated my projector and have used it for every single review so far. Haven't run into this issue at all. So it's not a calibration issue overall, but I could make some changes to the picture to drop the brightness levels a bit, and it would probably look better. But it's just a little annoying that it wasn't working as well as lots of other movies have on the currently calibrated levels I have, which I pulled from lots of sources online, did my own research, really calibrated this thing, and I was a little disappointed by the color here. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'll show you right now a visual demo of Batman, and then we'll jump into Batman Returns. So quickly, here is a short demo of the one of the action scenes that's taking place. You can see it looks pretty good. It's actually a little bright at times. Some of that, what you're seeing, is my just camera, but the whites are actually very, very bright in this. which it's not distracting, but it's true that it's a very bright presentation for whatever reason. Everything else looks pretty good. There's a lot of grain for sure, but it's not overly distracting. It's actually pretty clean. Looks like they did a good job with the transfer. They really got a lot of information into this release, but you can tell like how bright it is at times. That is, yes, partially my camera, but I'm also seeing a lot of really bright whites, which is a little weird. So in this scene, again, you can see some of that strange brightness, but it does look like it gets better as the movie goes on. It's just a very, very bright, vivid picture. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying don't expect, a super, super dark. It looks like some of the HDR here kind of really boosted the brighter colors and maybe not so much the darker colors, which is just different. That's a different presentation than I'm used to. But it is really bright. I don't know. It seems strange. But I watched the Blu-ray too, and there's some really, bright scenes in it. I think I'm just remembering DC movies being so much darker, but this is Tim Burton, of course, so it's a little bit brighter and more colorful. So as you can see there, I pointed out some of the really kind of white, bright spots that were bugging me, but overall, a pretty smooth picture. It's definitely an improvement over the Blu-ray. I just think that maybe there were some tweaks that could be done with the brightness, and that's something you could do on your display or with your projector, but that is sort of unfortunate. Now, jumping into Batman Returns, again, this was shot on film. Tim Burton's the director again, and there's a little more color in this one, I think. It's a little more colorful just with the action. It also was remastered. This is a 4K remaster from the original elements. And in checking out the visuals, I thought that this was a much better presentation than Batman. The Batman Returns visuals here were very, very smooth. It looked incredible in 4K. The colors were much improved. In the HDR, the balance of the kind of black levels to brightness was like really well done. There are some scenes I'll show you in the visual demo of, it has a good mix of like outdoor and indoor stuff all happening at the same time. And you can also see how skin tones and makeup looks much better in this release. So I was really impressed with this one. I thought it looked absolutely incredible, and I would give it, very close to a 5 out of 5. This is a solid 4.5 out of 5 for me, whereas Batman's probably more like a 3.5. So really, really good, which I'll show you right now in this visual demo of Batman Returns. So here's a sequence towards the beginning of Batman Returns, which is a little bit darker, but you can see where the HDR improvements really help. You're getting some really deep blacks. The blues are really good. The only thing is that, again, it is super bright. Whenever a light flashes, it seems like the whites are almost like overpowering. You could just see it right there on Michael Keaton's face, that it's sort of overpowered him with the brightness. This is actually a pretty good scene. There's a lot of good color here. Things look, crystal clear a lot of times. This looks like a movie that was, made recently, regardless of the effects and everything else. But there's just sequences wherever there is some sort of a bright light, a bat signal or a light bulb or anything like that, it seems to be washed out and too bright. Other than that, everything else looks really good. This is a great sequence to see a lot of different colors. You can see the darks here and how the HDR really shines. And actually, if we're dealing with an orange flame, it's not too bad. But it's just weird to see how bright some of the whites got. This is not as bad as Batman. Batman Returns. This, honestly, I think is a better picture presentation from everything I've seen. So this is a good comparison sequence because if you focus on the clown's face here, you can see that the color of his face, the white makeup, looks a lot better than it did on Jack Nicholson in the first Batman. And also the skin tones of the people look a little more natural. They're not as washed out. So I think that this is definitely the better presentation of the two, in that Batman, the original, has a little bit to be left to be desired. Now, to talk about audio, the cool thing is that all 4 of these new releases were remastered with Dolby Atmos for the first time. And let me just say, you can definitely tell. I did a quick test against the Blu-ray. I have the Blu-ray anthology set for these movies, which includes Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, everything that's pre-Christian Bale. And wow, the audio improvement is maybe the biggest selling point on these, especially with the kind of iffy picture quality on Batman. The Dolby Atmos track is really well done. They did a nice job with the upgrade. You can tell that they really took their time. Typically, Warner Brothers does a good job overall with their 4K releases, and I've been impressed with their recent work on like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Of course, that was supervised by Martin Scorsese. I don't know who supervised these ones. Probably not as big a name, but they did a very good job with the audio, and it's a definite improvement. If you've got the capabilities, you're going to be really blown away. There were a few kind of weird moments with dialogue, and I think that was just part of the mix, but those were super, super minor. If you weren't looking for them, if you weren't doing a review, you'd probably even, not even notice them, but Dolby Atmos was really good. Now, a little bit about the packaging. All 4 of these releases, again, come in this sort of holographic. I don't know if it's annoying the camera. I'll have to look at this afterward. But it has this cool kind of glossy holographic cover. Interesting that they went with mostly white. You think Batman, you think black, right? You think Dark Knight, darkness, black colors, grays. They went with a very light color scheme, and they sort of did white with these neon colors, a neonish blue, purple and pink here. Kind of an interesting design choice. I know some people, I posted these on Instagram, some people hated them already, were like, I hate these covers, I can't believe they used the artwork. But I actually don't mind them. I think they look different. I think they look really cool, modern. It's a nice little spin on, Batman, and I thought it was pretty cool. They do both come with a slipcover. On the inside, you're going to get the same artwork, just not the glossy, almost lenticular kind of effect on both of these. And then you're also working with a 4K copy, a Blu-ray copy, and a 4K digital copy, which is cool. So if you don't own these on Blu-ray and you're maybe upgrading in the future, this is something I just talked about, how some studios were getting rid of the Blu-ray disc and 4K titles. Not here. You'll get 4K Blu-ray and the digital copy, which is nice. Now, I do want to show you the inside because they did some pretty cool stuff with the discs, in my opinion. The 4K and the Blu-ray discs both have some cool disc art. In this case, because it is blue on the cover, the discs are both blue and pretty cool colors. I like just when they do disc art. I think it makes things look a lot more professional. And then Batman Returns, again, you've got pinks and purples, right? So when we open this up, you've got some really cool discs, purple colored 4K and Blu-ray disc, which I thought was a nice little touch. Not a lot of people spend time on that nowadays, but it's cool to see that some studios still do. Now, in terms of special features, a lot of this is the same that came with the Blu-ray releases. You've got commentary tracks, you've got some behind the scenes, you've got galleries, there's some music videos on Batman, as well as some music videos on Batman Returns, and then just theatrical trailers, things like that. Behind the scenes stuff, but I did a cross-reference, and I do believe that all of this was on the Blu-ray, correct me if I'm wrong, and those special features are on the Blu-ray disc, so no 4K special features here. But anyway, pretty good releases. Like I said, this Batman, overall, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I'd say the audio is a 4.5 out of 5. The visuals are like a 3, and the packaging is 3.5, 4. So it's somewhere below a 4. It's like a 3.5. I would cautiously recommend an upgrade because I'm not sure what's going on with the brightness here. It is a little distracting in some of the scenes I saw, but I'm not sure how distracting it will be overall. Of course, I didn't sit through the entire 2-hour movie. I kind of jumped around scenes, but I was seeing it almost everywhere, so sort of interesting visuals here. I'm a little wary on this one. Batman Returns, however, I'd give this a solid 4.5 visuals, 4.5, 5 audio. Overall, this is a 4.5 release for me out of 5. Visuals are great. Audio's excellent, as is Batman. Both have excellent audio. And then the packaging is still pretty cool, in my opinion. But this is the better visual for sure. If you're looking for a real nice 4K disc, Batman Returns will blow you away, I think. And Batman looks like it maybe has some issues, might be suffering from being a little bit of an older movie than Batman Returns, although they're pretty close in age. But pretty interesting to see the differences and some of the struggles you can go through with taking these old movies. I don't think either one of these are bad. I would cautiously recommend Batman, and I would fully recommend Batman Returns as a good 4K disc. So if you're going to do it, you can't go wrong with getting both in 4K. Just know that Batman Returns, I believe, is your better 4K experience. So thank you for watching this review, guys. Hopefully you're excited about the Batman 4K titles, and this helped you kind of learn more about them and, whether they're worth a pickup. Like I said, I think they are both worth a pickup at a good price point. I'm seeing some crazy pricing on these right now, though, like $30 per title. And so your better bet may be to wait until September. They're going to launch all 4 of these movies in a 4K box set. Might be priced a little bit lower than buying them individually. But again, then you have to wait till September, whereas these come out on June 4th. So you're going to have them, much sooner. I would believe, though, that these standalone releases, when the box set comes out, I bet that these are definitely a hot Black Friday item. And at those price points, maybe $14.99, $12.99 for stuff like this, they would be really good pickups. Again, at $20, I'd be cautiously optimistic on Batman. I don't know if I can fully recommend that one, but Batman Returns is an absolute no-brainer at the $20 price point. Just got to kind of see where they fall, because I've seen some crazy pricing on them so far, which I think is just MSRP. They haven't dropped the pricing yet. But so far, a good start to the series. Like I said, I will take a look at the 2 Joel Schumacher directed movies, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, in a choked on myself there. In a subsequent video, we'll take a look at those 2, as the visual styles are very different. Hard to compare to these 2 films, but overall, pretty good stuff. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you've enjoyed this content, if you want to see more reviews, if you like 4K, if you like home theater stuff, I've got lots of new videos coming. As you can see, I've been pumping them out more frequently, and so subscribing is a good idea. You're not going to miss any. Turn on the notifications. You'll know right when a new review goes live. And then also, comment on the video. Let me know what you thought about this packaging in particular. That's what I'm curious about. And let me know if you're going to be picking these up. Also, remember to follow me on Instagram, and that you can support my channel by clicking the links down in my description. There is a PayPal donation link, which goes straight to me. And there are some Amazon links where you can buy my home theater seats. You can buy my projector screen, my projector, and other items in my 4K Blu-ray collection, my shelving. There's a couple things in there that I'm constantly adding to. If you do buy them through those Amazon affiliate links, I get a little bit of money for it. It goes back into my pocket and helps me keep supporting the channel and buying review copies and new video equipment that I otherwise probably wouldn't buy. So I appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. Hopefully you enjoy Batman and Batman Returns when you get a chance to check them out on 4K. I'm really interested in what people think of this one, because I think that there could be some minor issues with the transfer. But yeah, we'll see what happens. See what you guys think. But thank you for watching. I'll be back soon with more videos. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.